Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Bowl is Round. I'm Hady Raphael, and tonight on the show, is Laurent Courtois a good candidate if he gets named as a coach for CF Montreal? And of course, we'll name three things or events that would qualify CF Montreal season as a success. That and a lot more on episode 161 of The Ball is Round. And welcome, everyone. So happy to have you here with me. Of course, everybody that's here listening to us and looking at us, but also my good friends and colleagues, Eve and Elias. Eve, how was your New Year? How was your Christmas, your whole vacation? I know you were off social media. How was it?
It was really good, thank you. It was really relaxing, restful, festive, and definitely a really nice disconnect. So thank
How
you.
how
How was
how
yours?
many how many bottles of alcohol?
No
Did
comment.
you count them?
No
No.
comment.
Okay.
No, we did not count.
Yeah, mine was fine. Mine was fine. A lot of things with my son, which was really interesting. Of course, Santa Claus was very generous this year. It seems. So yeah, but now he's going to be very poor for the rest of the year.
Oh dear.
Elias, how are you, my man?
Not too bad. Happy to be back. I missed you guys, so happy. I missed everybody listening and one watching as well.
Yeah, same. Honestly, I missed you both guys so much. It was really weird not to have episodes
I
for two
know.
weeks. But you know what? I think it's better that way because there wasn't much that happened in those two
No,
weeks
no, I'm not
for
sure
us
what
to
we would
talk
have talked
about.
about.
Exactly. Now, of course, we always find a way
Hmm.
to discuss things, and of course, today it's going to be a pretty packed episode, a more relaxed episode for sure. So let's start. First of all, let's dive right in with the rumor. I don't know if we can qualify it as a rumor anymore because it was, of course, first said by Nilton George and Sofiane Benzaza from CCPP and the KNFC that Laurent Courtois will be is the one in the front seat to be the CF Montreal head coach for the 2024 season and beyond. It was confirmed right after by Tom Bogert. Of course, people that don't know Tom Bogert, he's the number one MLS insider. When he says something, it's almost a done deal.
Pretty
So
reliable.
and of course, it was confirmed by a lot of media outlets right after. So it's not official yet as an official statement for CF Montreal, but I know that everyone is on vacation right now. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see an official statement next week. So, Yves, let's start with you. Do you think Laurent Courtois would be a good candidate if named? I know you like the ifs. So,
Yes.
if named.
Exactly. So yeah, actually, I do think he would be a really good candidate. Obviously, Montreal has had, kind of first time head coaches of an MLS club because right now he is the head coach of the next pro, so the reserve team, if you will. And they have found recent success, of course, most notably being Wilfred Nancy. Um, I think we talked about it in our last episode when this rumor initially kind of got floated, that the style of play by Columbus Crew 2 really mimics the style of play by the first team. And of course, we know that they play very, very attractive soccer. Of course, he's had really good success with his MLS Next Pro team, winning the playoffs and making the final in its 2 years of existence. And obviously, being a reserve team, there's a lot of young players that get developed. And several players have, in fact, broken into the first team from the next pro side, which I think would give some credit to Laurent Courtois' ability to develop players. On top of it all, he is a Frenchman, so thankfully there won't be too much of a culture shock coming to Quebec. So for me, like out of the various names of candidates that we've seen floated around, he's absolutely the best one.
Interesting. Elias, I'll let you start with your opening statement, and then I have a couple of questions for you guys right after.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, right? They wanted someone to play their style of play. Laurent Courtois um, is probably the next best thing to Wilfried Nancy if they want someone that could play that way. And so, look, he has a lot of comfort in an academy setup. He comes from before joining Columbus Crew 2. He was working at Seton Hall. That's a very good understanding of the NCAA world, and where the majority of draft picks come from, if not all draft picks, which is another very important insight into Montreal's recruitment process. So I think that he does tick every single box that they're looking for. Now, obviously, there's given that he hasn't coached, you know, in MLS and stuff like that, there's not maybe as much information with regards to his man management as, other coaches who have past players that speak about, the relationships with managers. So I think that that's a little bit more that we'll have to get a little bit more in terms of his style of interacting with players. But in terms of from an X's and O standpoint and from uh, what Olivier Renard was looking for when he kind of outlined why Hernan Losada was let go, you can't really get more narrowed down than Laurent Courtois. So I think that, what, I have no problems with it so far.
And it's going to be very interesting because as you guys said, first of all, it's his first MLS experience as a head coach. Of course, um, first experience. I don't think it's going to be a big step for him because he's going to deal with a lot of young players like he did with the Columbus two, the Crew two. He developed, and just to name some names, Patrick Schulte, the goalkeeper that is the MLS Cup champion. Of course, we talked about Mohamed Farsi quite a few times. Jason Russell Rowe, the also the striker, the Canadian striker, and Philip Quinton, that was on a rotation basis as a center back. Those four were MLS Cup champions last year that went through the Columbus Crew 2 ranks before jumping to the senior club. When we look at the squad right now, before talking about the academy, because that will be the second question after, when we look at those unfinished products right now on the pitch for CF Montreal, do you guys think that he's going to be judged on their development as a coach? Like, are we going to look at Laurent Courtois at the end of the year and say, okay, you know what? He had the challenge of developing and making those guys better this year. And if they're better, that means that he did his job. And if they're not better, then that means that he didn't do this job. And I'm going to talk about those unfinished products. I'm just going to give a few names, or most of the names, that are right now in the squad, like Bryce Duke, like Jules Anthony Vilsan, like Robert Torkelson, like Fernando Alvarez, like Rida Zuhir, like Usman Jabang. Those are just some of the players that are the unfinished products in a certain way. We can add maybe Nathan Saliba that needs to confirm his first season also. And of course, we're not really sure if those players are going to stay here next year for sure. So Elias, let's start with you on this question. What do you think? Do you think that's a main criteria to judge a coach like Laurent Courtois in his first season in MLS?
I think it is, right? I think that's, arguably the only thing that Hernan Losada had going for him was that, a lot of young players saw significant steps forward. Some didn't, but, there were some very good cases, namely, Nathan Saliba, the few times that Jonathan Vincent was fit, he did very well. So stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's a very crucial part of a coach's profile, and especially if you're a club that wants to be label itself as one that has a knack for developing young talent and you want to attract all this young talent, having a coach that can extract that from the players is your bread and butter. I mean, you have to have that. If you have a coach who isn't in sync with the academy, or if you have a coach that isn't very good at handling young players, then obviously when you're going out to recruit young talent, then they're going to think twice about, maybe jumping on board this project. So I think that's one of the most important things about finding a new coach.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Eve, you can of course, continue
No.
on what Elias said, but also I would add an extra twist to the
Mhm.
question. For you, who are the players that needs to be developed this year for CF Montreal to have some kind of success between the players that I just named or any other player that you think that I didn't name?
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's kind of based on who's currently here
Yeah,
now.
for sure,
So
for sure, for
there
sure.
might be some other names that get added to the list, and there might
Of
be a few
course,
that
of
drop
course.
off. I think definitely a guy like Rita Zuhir is going to be a big one. I think because of course he did leave on loan last season, and that kind of opened up, I think, a big space for Nathan Saliba to fill, which he did. Like you said, he's going to need to confirm that. So now, ostensibly, Rita Zuhir is going to be coming home and competing for minutes. So can he translate his success in San Antonio to MLS, as he had a few starts, but it kind of wasn't super conclusive when he played? That's a player who comes to mind for sure. Um, as well, thinking along the lines of Jules Anthony Vincent, I think there's a lot of hype around him. And so being able to kind of measure those expectations kind of with the way that the public is responding to his presence on the field and just kind of helping a player like him keep a level head, I think is going to be really important for the next coach of this team, so that he doesn't kind of, you know, get unrealistic expectations for himself. He's too hard on himself. Maybe he thinks he should be getting more minutes than he is because everyone's so excited by him. So those are two players I think they're kind of on the top of my list, I would say, for the next coach to hopefully help guide in the next steps of their development, because I think those are two who are really on the cusp of breaking out.
I agree with you. I'm just curious on how and where Rida Zuhair is going to play next year because
Right?
you look at the depth, and right now you have Piet, you have Wanyama, you have Chouanière, you have Saliba.
Yep.
Where is he going to get minutes? I know that last year with the I always when I think about San Antonio and USL, I'm about to say Spurs, but it's not the Spurs, of course, because of the basketball team. But yeah, when you think about Rida Zuhair last year, he played mostly as an advanced number 8, maybe a
Yeah.
number 10, but like an advanced number 8. So I think even there, you have Bryce Duke behind Mathieu
Mhm.
Chouanière. So you have so many players in the midfield. I'm just afraid for Rida Zuhair. I think something needs to be done about the midfield because we are going to play with a back three. I don't think we're going to change that. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see the future of the future of the midfield and the midfielders in the squad. And the
Mhm.
second, the other player that I would name would be Alvarez.
Mhm.
I think this is gonna be a very important season for him because you don't have a lot of experienced center backs right now. So Alvarez is gonna have to step in as the number 4 central defender. Behind the back three of Waterman, Corbo, and Campbell. As of right now, if we look at the squad as of right now, of course things can change, but it seems like Alvarez, as of right now, is number 4, so that means he's going to have plenty of minutes. I think his development is going to be key for Montreal's success, in my opinion. Elias, do you have any other player that you're thinking of?
As soon as Ibrahim, it's
Yeah.
we've seen what his ceiling could look like. We've seen he's still young, right? He's still 21 or 22, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but at some point, there's only the reason that he's young and still learning only gets you so far, right? Montreal have cut loose players that have been around for less, for a shorter amount of time than him, and granted, he's had some good moments. He's had some moments where he's maybe been a little bit invisible, but I think that ultimately this is a make or break year if he could establish himself. Maybe not as the main guy, but as a reliable rotational player or even as a reliable role player in the starting lineup. I think this is the year that is pretty much make or break for him.
We have a comment from Patrick saying, I would also assume that we will bring another midfielder, an offensive minded one. Honestly, I don't know where all these players are gonna have minutes. So
You're gonna play like a 3-6-1.
we're gonna play a 1-9-1, I think.
Okay.
1-8-1. Sorry.
Like in the old days.
Like in the old days, exactly. No, in the old days it was a 1-10. That's it.
Yeah, basically.
one
Yeah.
defender, 10 up front. And when we say the old days, it's in the 30s, of course. So interesting. I think this is going to be a very interesting topic for this year. We talked about, the youngsters within the team. Now, again, Nilton George, because I have to say his name, said that there was quite a few players that would be called up for the camp. One of them is Matteo Schiavoni, 18-year-old that was with the academy and then came back. It went to Bologna and now should show up at the camp. So that could be interesting. He's 18-year-old. He's a midfielder. We have Gaël de Montigny, that's 17-year-old, a defender. Loïc Cloutier, also a defender, 19-year-old. Nilton didn't mention him, but I feel that he's going to be there. That's my opinion. Alessandro Biello, 16-year-old. That's an offensive midfielder. And Jesse Saputo, also I think a winger, 16-year-old, the son of. What do you guys think about those players? It's going to be hard for them to make it to the first team, no?
Eve. Right now.
Yeah. We're talking about the roster as it is right now.
Yeah, okay? Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm inclined to say like right now, yes, because there is at the positions that you mentioned, those players playing, there's a lot of congestion right now. And some of them, who might be maybe purely wingers. Of course, when you're so early in your development, there's probably still a lot of room of flexibility to maybe adapt your style of play a little bit to kind of settle into a wing back if need be. But also, I think some of them, if their primary position isn't necessarily one that's going to be called upon very much, then that also puts them at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Do you think, Elias, there's a position where we can get one of these youngsters as a backup or maybe a second backup just in case and, grab a few minutes here and there? Or do you think it's a bit too early? Or do you think we have, a pretty big squad and we cannot afford to give a few minutes for one of these youngsters?
It's a little bit tricky because I do think that, for a couple of them, a CPL loan could do a lot of good.
Yeah.
I think that, gain them in a professional environment. We've seen all the good that can do. And, absolute worst case scenario, if it's not in the cards for them at CF Montreal, this gives them a very good jumping off point for the rest of their careers. Right? You've seen it with Jean Elias, who, won't be coming back with the club, but has cemented himself as a very reliable and very, very strong CPL caliber player. And who is, honestly in the upper echelon of, the players at his position. You have someone like Loïc Cloutier, who has come to a number of camps now and who hasn't really had that much of a break. And he's trained with the squad a number of times. I think that having him, be in Ligue 1 Quebec again this year would honestly be a waste. I think you have to kind of see if he can sink or swim. Now, people like Gaël de Montigny, people like Alessandro Biello that are still 17, 16, maybe they can spend another year playing against people older, bigger, stronger than them. Give them maybe another year to grow into their bodies and into their positions. But I think, once you start hitting 18, 19, if you're going to be an academy that wants to spit out these youngsters and have this assembly line, essentially, they have to start getting looks professionally. And, you have people like Jean Tassier, you have people like Sean Ray, you have people like, again, Jean Elias, who had very successful loans straight out of the academy into the CPL. You're going to have CPL teams that want them. It's not like you're forcing these players onto CPL teams. Montreal now has a reputation as an academy that can create CPL level players at the very least. So it shouldn't be that difficult of a time getting them on into a squad, whether it's as a rotation at the beginning or straight as a starter. That remains to be seen. But giving these kids a professional environment and professional minutes is the next logical step.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think that someone like Schiavone or Cloutier have to get professional minutes this year. Completely agree with you, and even the Montigny at 17, I think he went with the I think U20. Was it the U20 World Cup? Yeah, U20
Yeah.
World Cup.
Mhm.
So I think U20 or U17. I don't remember. So he went to the last World Cup. I don't remember if it's U17 or U20. So I think he has what it takes to go and get those professional minutes. Maybe early for Gaël de Montigny. I think that could be a good thing. Completely agree with that. But I also think that if there is a position where you could have a very young player, that would be as a center back. Because you
Hmm.
look at the center back right now, you have those three that we talked about, Campbell, Waterman, Corbo. Then you have Alvarez, Torkelson, and Jabank.
Hmm.
I don't think that neither one of them as backups are 100%, rotational players. We're not really sure if they're going to be able to really play at that level. So
Mhm.
if you want to have a bit of leeway or a bit of other options, I would say that will be at this position. So I would keep maybe someone like Louis Cloutier, maybe give him some Canadian Championship minutes, or wait and see how he trains with the professionals, and wait and see what the others do. I don't
Hmm.
think that Torkelson will stay with the club, so let's wait and see. Is he going to start the season with the club, or is he going to go away? There's some rumors sending him, everywhere now around the globe, in Iceland or everywhere. So let's wait and see. But I feel that at that position, we can maybe have a center back a young center back that stays with
Hmm.
the first team. That's the only position where I see a very young player, having minutes this year. Um, Now, looking at Laurent Courtois, of course, we talked a lot about his style of play. You know, are you expecting, you know, it was very similar. We saw those similarities, in the graphs of, how the crew two had a style of play really that's adapted to the crew one. But are you really expecting this same style of play here in Montreal? Or do you think he's going to take a step back and maybe, take a look at his philosophy once more once he sees that the squad is very, very young, Eve?
Yeah, I think overall it's going to have to be adjusted slightly because it is a very young squad. And there are several positions kind of that are so integral, like in the attacking midfielder, for example, that are normally so important for success in an attacking minded style of play, where at least in 2023 nobody really grabbed that position and said, this is mine, I'm going to be the difference maker here. um, you know, we haven't seen any signings come in on the offensive front either. So we're kind of left to assume at this moment that we're stuck with status quo. By all means, feel free to prove me wrong, Olivier Renard. Um, but yeah, I think certainly, especially with the way that Hernan Lozada's departure was explained, the expectation is definitely going to be that Laurent Courtois does not deviate significantly from the style of play that he's been using with Crew 2. But I think all the same, it will have to be dialed back a little bit on the intensity, just by virtue of having an inexperienced squad.
Interesting. Elias, anything to add regarding the style of play that Laurent Courtois will have to play with?
No, I agree. I think as long as, you keep the same fundamental philosophy, I think that's completely reasonable. At the end of the day, yeah, you want to have the ideas, but at the same time, you have to play what's best for the squad. So,
Hmm.
I'm very interested to see Laurent Courtois also at the pressers, because let's say it, okay. In Montreal, we have a lot of media presence. Like compared to other teams around
Yeah.
MLS, there's a lot of media that go to games. There's a lot of people asking questions. There's a bit of pressure when you're in the presser, as a CF Montreal coach. I think communication is very very important in that position with CF Montreal. So I can't wait to see. I watched a few press conferences from Laurent Courtois, and he seems that guy that's very nice, very technical kind of coach. Not the man management kind of coach, and more technical, talking about what happens on the pitch, a bit like Wilfried Nancy. But does he have the same communication style as Wilfried Nancy that I think all media's loved? So I think that's going to be also very important for Laurent Courtois in order to keep, not only the dressing room calm, but also the media room calm. I think that's going to be a very big task for him, in my opinion. Elias, I'm pretty sure you agree with me regarding that, because there's a lot of pressure in the media room.
Yeah, and a lot of questions that are, not maybe designed to trip you up, but definitely poignant. And if there's no results, people will demand answers. So that's one thing that Hernan Losada and Wilfried Nancy are both very good at. Let's hope Laurent Courtois is the same.
Yeah, let's wait and see. So let's move on with our second topic. I think that's going to be the interesting one, I think, in my opinion. Let's name 3 things that would make the CF Montreal season a success. Of course, I hope you brought your creativity with you. Go ahead, Eve. I think we're not going to be too surprised about Eve. Please do not finish the year with 34 losses. Something like that. That's going to be Eve's
okay. Actually, okay. Then maybe we'll be excited. Admittedly, I didn't write that one down. I like to imagine that any team can win one match. Okay, so in no particular order, I think an excellent success would be to retain at least 20% of the people who bought season tickets just because Messi's coming, to retain them as true season ticket holders. Have a goal scorer, a top goal scorer, that has scored at least 10 goals over the course of the season. I'm even willing to open it up to across all competitions. Okay. That's how low my expectations are. Okay. And the third would be to make the playoffs. I understand that this one is probably, pessimistic Eve, right? So
yeah,
I'm entering this.
Of course we do.
when we give our preview, I'm 99% sure I'm probably going to say, well, I've said it every year, they're going to finish in 10th, but I do think that it would be an incredible success with a new coach, with such a young squad, with not a ton of investment in players, unless again Olivier Renard goes on to make me eat crow. That I think making the playoffs in 2024 would be a massive exploit for this team. Also, I think that would help with the whole retaining of the occasional season ticket holders.
Okay, so in your opinion, they're not going to make the playoffs, but making the playoffs would be a success because Correct. It's going to be a massive exploit.
I think it would be a tremendous success.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Pessimistic Eve. Reaching new heights.
New year, old Eve.
Elias, let's go with yours.
Mine are going to be
unless you want to discuss, Eve's 3.
You can make
I think they're all fairly reasonable. Nothing too outrageous.
Too crazy.
Mine are a bit more ambitious, I think.
Okay, God love you.
I think that mine are a little bit more demanding. Mine is sell out 3/4 of the home games.
Ooh.
Not including Leagues Cup or Can Champ, because Can Champ is real. Unless it's Toronto or the final, you're not going to sell out Can Champ.
Yeah.
Just MLS.
3/4 of the MLS home games.
Okay.
Right? You already have a massive head start on previous years with the season ticket holders.
Yeah.
So 3/4 will be like 12 games, 11 games.
11
games.
Exactly.
17. Right? Yeah.
About 11 games, no?
No, 12? that would be like 2/3. Would be 11.
Okay. Whatever. So 3/4
12 to 13 games.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
My second one is score 50 goals.
Okay.
50. Okay.
I don't care how many
I can get on board with that.
How many you concede?
Yeah.
Just score 50 goals. right?
I'm
Yeah,
actually willing to convert my
And
take
that's
on the
not
goal
even ridiculous, right? Given that the top teams in the league score, mid to high 60s,
Yeah.
low 70s, Comax, right? So I think 50 goals, that's less than 2 goals a game. Anyway, that's my second one.
I like
And my
that.
third one is, this one is, reaching a little bit, but a second designated player.
Oh,
Yeah, I would live. Oh
Too
my
much.
god.
Those
but
those
that will
three
make
things.
Written down like a
that will
wish
make the
list,
season
not
that will make,
success.
but that will make the season a success if you have a second designated player. Whatever happens with the season.
I mean, okay, a second designated player that delivers anywhere near the level that Victor Wanyama has delivered
Last year or 2
Evidently
years
not.
ago.
overall. Overall,
Overall.
What was I gonna
right?
say? Yeah.
Those are my
Yeah.
three, and playoffs or not, those three, and I'll call it a minor
Interesting.
success.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay, I'll go with mine, and then we'll discuss maybe all our choices. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So mine are a bit more general. So I agree with Eve. Make the playoffs. I think that's going to be very important to say that the CF Montreal season is a success, because, as I said a lot last year, it's the beginning of the new cycle. Last year was the beginning of the new cycle, and year 2 you need to make the playoffs of your 3 or 4 a year cycle. It depends on the cycle that they chose. Next year is a must. Make the playoffs is a must in order for the project to go to the next phase. That's going to be very important. I think we saw the fans. We saw what the fans are demanding. They're demanding attractive soccer.
Yeah.
Attractive soccer. No matter the results, attractive soccer. They want to go there and live emotions, get those last minute goals, get those 3-4 attackers on the pitch, get those, those runs with, those risks taken here and there. And that's what worked with Renancy. Of course, results came with it. But also, I think even when they lost, and I remember, I think they lost at one point, 3-4 at home, or 3-3, I think, at one point, if I remember correctly. And everybody was happy leaving the stadium, because there was so many emotions with that game that everybody was satisfied with their night. And I think that's going to be very interesting going forward and in year 2 of that project. And the last but not least, and I think that's an answer to your question, to your thing, Eve, when you said retain 20%, win against Miami, with or without Messi.
Okay.
Win.
Yeah.
No choice. No choice. At home, you need to win. You need to show that all those fans that came to see Messi, that your local club is better than the club that Messi plays with. You need to show that.
Yeah.
And that will get maybe 50% of your target, the 20% that you asked for. Eve, I think you get at least 10% with just a win.
Maybe, yeah.
On that game.
Honestly, you know me, I'm pessimistic. I was like lowballing.
Yeah.
Can I add win 3 away games? Would that be cool?
Oh, there we go.
Wow, 3 away games. That's fine.
Depressing stuff, people.
That's
more than
fine.
last year, right? Baby steps.
Why not say finish first, win the shield?
they're both as realistic.
Yeah.
That's funny. You hear that, Eve? It's realistic. Elias says
3 away games. Yeah, it better be realistic.
No, I said the supporter shields, and you said it's realistic.
I think it's kind of on 2 different moments of the conversation.
Okay, so let's discuss all those things that we discussed. So do you think there's something that's not going to happen 100%? Eve, go ahead.
I already said.
Which one?
Making the playoffs. I don't think they will.
Not 100% not going to happen.
Not with the squad that they currently have. Okay. Ask me closer to when the season starts, because right now I'm just basing it on the squad that's actually compiled.
So forget forget make the playoffs. The
Yeah,
other
okay.
things that we
Okay, let's
talked
forget
about.
that because
Yeah.
it's not realistic,
It's
I
too
think, to put
early.
on
It's
front
too
of one way
early
or the
now.
other.
Yeah, it's too
Yeah.
early now to talk about the playoffs. So
Let's not real a second DP. I don't know if they would do that.
that's for you 100% not realistic. Like
Yeah.
99%, let's say.
Yeah, let's say 99 because nothing's impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, yeah. The only thing I can think is, if somebody has like finagled their contract into such a way that like making them a DP is the financially sound way to like, manage the books. Kind of like how they had Rudy Camacho as a DP at one point,
And Bjorn Johnson.
Yeah, oh God, I
We don't
forgot
talk
about
about it. We
him.
don't talk about
Designated
playoffs.
player for the
We don't
ages.
talk about playoffs.
Yeah, so like I'm not counting that type of thing as a designated player just because it's like a financial designated player more than like an impactful designated player. Yeah, I don't see them doing it. Obviously the philosophy of the club is to promote youth and yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Elias. Which one do you think is 100% not reachable?
See, the thing is, like, I don't think that there's anything unreasonable that's been said.
I don't think we've
Where
asked
it's
for
like,
anything like
exactly.
astronomical.
We're
Except
not
maybe
asking
the
for the moon
DP.
here, right? Even that, like, we're not asking
So
for the moon here. We're asking for a
nothing.
second.
So nothing is
I think
99%
I
unreachable.
think of everything said, the least likely would probably be the 50 goals.
Yeah, exactly. That was my take. I think that's the least
That would be,
likely.
but the thing
Yeah.
is, like, with the way that, with the style of play being brought in, they very well could score 50 goals. It's not completely out of order. It's a bit much,
Listen, I'm just
Mhm.
gonna tell you
but it's
something. Okay, do you know
by
how
no
many
means
teams?
ridiculous.
Do you know how many teams scored more than 50 goals in MLS in the Eastern Conference only?
I'm gonna say 6.
Exactly 6. Exactly. So like, and the 6 were
Is that really so bad?
qualified. Were all
Obviously.
qualified for the playoffs. So
Yeah.
that's great.
They can throw defense out the window, right? As long as we see that there is an attacking future in this at this club. On top of the fact that you've lost in the last 2 years, George Mihailovic, you've lost Joaquin Torres, you've lost
Romel
Romel
Kyoto now.
Kyoto, you've
Yeah.
lost Ismail Kone, you've lost all these pieces. And just through the style of play, you have 50 goals under your belt. First of all,
Yeah.
it puts you in a great spot to make the playoffs. Second of all, it shows that at least there's something here, right? So, yeah, I
And
think that
let's
may be
face
the
it.
least likely,
Mhm.
but I think that is still not completely outrageous. I don't want you to
Yeah.
score 70 goals. That's
I completely agree with you. I'm not going to add anything. I agree with you. I will answer the other question first, though. Which one is for sure gonna happen for me? Play attractive soccer. For me,
Mhm.
that's a must after
Mhm.
Lozada, and I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. We're gonna play attractive soccer. Now, is it gonna be 100% of the time attractive? Maybe not, but like maybe 80, 85% of the time. It's gonna
Yeah.
be offensive. It's gonna be exciting. That I'd be very surprised if that doesn't happen. Do you have any other takes on what's gonna happen for sure of everything that we said?
I think the one thing that's happened for sure is retaining what you said, the 20% of the
Mhm.
new season ticket holders. I think that's very doable. 20%?
Wow.
I think if you play attractive soccer,
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think with the soccer being brought in, I think with the fact that, Messi is going to be around next year and there's more and more talent coming into the league, and I think that on top of that, if we see that the club is headed in the right direction and that there's, commitments being made to improving the stadium and all that stuff, I think that 20% is, if anything, it's lowballing it. So.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move to all the comments that we received since we started, and then we go with the questions. So Eve, let's start with Patrick.
they
That
don't make the
says
playoffs.
if they don't make the playoffs, then I think Renard's job might be in
Mm-hmm.
trouble.
Yep,
Uh,
I agree.
no, I don't think so.
Really?
No, Renard was signed a permanent contract with no end date.
Yeah, but
No,
I mean, if you make playoffs once in your 5 years in tenure, and then as well, obviously some pretty disastrous coaching hires. Not pretty disastrous.
Only
Um,
one disastrous.
one, yeah, and even then, like it wasn't the greatest disaster. There have been ones.
Exactly.
I don't know. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go back. The more I think about it, I think 5 years is a relatively short amount of time in a period, like in a soccer team's life cycle, or any sports team really. So yeah, I take it back. No, probably not, but I probably think there would at least be some meetings about like where are we going here.
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I don't think his job is in trouble at all.
No,
Honestly, I
look,
think he's
he took it on the chin when he fired Losada, and he said,
Yeah.
"Look, mea culpa. I not the right coach for the program, and
yeah,
this is his choice, right? Wilfried Nancy left, wasn't fired. Thierry Henry had extenuating circumstances; he wasn't fired. So I think that if it gets to a situation where Laurent Courtois is let go,
Mhm.
then
yeah,
you have to start saying, okay, you're on thin ice now.
We've
This is the
got
second
two in
coach
a
in a row.
row. Yeah.
Exactly. So I
exactly.
think that I think that if Laurent Courtois doesn't work out, probably won't get fired. But I think that maybe he may get read the riot act by Joe Saputo, and I don't see that being too out of line because I understand and I appreciate the project he's trying to put forward. But if it's not working, it's not
Yeah,
working.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's wait and see. I don't think his job is on the line at all,
Mhm.
unless Laurent Courtois' hiring is a complete fiasco.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, and even there, I'm not really sure that he'll be out of a job. So that's my opinion. We do have a couple more takes from LF Silva. Let's start with the first one.
Okay.
So I have a feeling the playoffs are reachable. We had this bad season with no identity, without a sexy style of play. Things will come back. Although we have a small budget, we still did not do so bad in 11 years. With some changes, hope we get a team that if loses, will lose with honor. You know what? I don't dislike those comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we had 1 or 2 years where it was really, really bad when we finished, I think, bottom of the league. But the rest of the years, we've always had something to fight for, at least a chance of qualifying for the playoffs. Some beautiful soccer, or some very good and nice players and amazing experienced players. Or there was always something to get motivated every year. Almost every year. So I kind of agree. It all depends on your expectations, in my opinion.
Mhm.
If your expectations are to win the MLS Cup, of course you're not happy and you're not following the club anymore. So that's as simple as that. But if your expectations are like, you know what, I'm going to watch my local soccer club, and you know what, just get me excited in a way. That's the way I go to see games. I'm happy with the product that's offered to me. So I
Mhm.
don't know what you guys think about this. Let's go
I
with
need
you,
like a
Elias.
little more than that, but
Yeah.
all the
What do you
same.
need?
I need to be
Love.
entertained by what I'm
Sorry.
watching. No.
Forget it. All you need is love. I was just
No.
singing
No.
the song.
Don't age yourself live on the podcast, Hady.
No, I'm a bit younger than the Beatles, but whatever.
No, I need to be entertained by what I'm seeing out there.
Mhm.
Like, I can't show up and watch the team sit back and have a siege laid on to them by whoever's coming to visit Stade Saputo that day. So I think the entertainment, the attractive style factor is also really important.
Interesting.
Like,
So you weren't very happy when Piatti was here because we were only playing counter-attacking players.
he had enough magic in his boots that like the
So
moments
you
of
were
magic that he could
excited.
deliver. Yes, because there were moments that were
Exactly.
extremely exciting with Piatti.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So counter-attacking soccer works
No, it
if you
can be.
have those exciting
Yeah.
players, right?
Yeah, but if we think about like 2023, it was,
Yeah.
they'd get into the final third and then it would just be, I don't know how to shoot.
Yeah. What do I do now?
What's a goal? Like, it's really bad when they bring out the arrows. So like that is also not very attractive to watch, on the field. So that for me is really important, because at the end of the day, sports is an entertainment business.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Elias?
I mean, you've kind of said it all there. I think that at the end of the day, even the games, 2-3 years ago that went poorly, the fans saw that their community was represented in the game, and they were playing brilliantly, right? You lose a 5-4 shootout, like Elias Silva said, right? You lose with honor.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose a 1-0 because you can see, like, that DC game, right?
Oh
Where
my
you
God,
lose
that
1-0,
was
15
going through my
seconds into
head
the
when you were
second half,
talking.
and you
And
can't break down a low
insipid
block, and
little.
then you just sit there and you're just like, why did I come today,
It
right?
was so
Yeah.
If you're gonna
unambitious.
lose,
Oh,
at
man.
least I'm gonna watch some entertaining soccer.
And like
I'm
it's
so
all gonna
happy
go
I
off
missed
that
that
thing.
game. I'm
Yeah.
so happy I missed that game.
I didn't.
I was in Lebanon, so I didn't have a choice.
Fair.
But
New
interesting.
player saluting all the fans as he went off. Awkward silence.
Let's go with the questions.
Okay.
We got a few questions this week, so let's go ahead.
Alrighty. Well, let's get started. Emil asks us, who is the next MLS player to get a regular spot on the Canadian men's national team roster, or which Canadian men's national team player could be the next to move to MLS?
I can answer.
I have
Okay,
one.
you go. Oh, okay. You
go
guys
ahead.
are way more
Go,
ready
go,
than I am.
Elias.
So
Go,
help
Elias.
My
yourselves.
regular spot, I think, is going to be Zach McGraw. I think that he's going to develop a partnership with Kamal Miller, and I
Love
think
it.
that you can't buy that kind of synergy with your two center backs. I think this is finally what's going to push the national team to go to a 4-back, and personally, I'm all for it.
Good choice.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. The problem that we have with the 4-back, we have so many right backs or right wing backs that you have some very good players that are going to be benched. So
no, it's a new formation with 3 right flank players. Don't worry.
That's nice. That's interesting.
We're going to pioneer a new style. Don't worry.
No, you know what? I wanted to say Zach McGraw, but you know what? I'm just going to go with Mathieu Choinière. I think you need that player in your roster that can play different roles within your team. And certainly when you go into tournament mode, I talked about it so many times here on the pod, Mathieu Choinière being able to play, in midfield as a number 8, as a number 6, as a number 10. He can play as a left wing back, as a right wing back. I think that's very priceless when you go in tournament mode. So for me, Mathieu Choinière. And to answer the second part of the question, which Canadian men's national team player could join the MLS, I will go with Scott Kennedy. Okay, I think that Scott Kennedy could be good for him to come to the MLS instead of being in the second tier of German soccer. So not saying that it's not a good level, and I think you get a lot more visibility if you're in the first division. And now with the Apple broadcast rights, I think you get a lot more visibility if you're in MLS than in the second tier of German soccer.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So to answer the question, I'm going to say that I hope Ali Ahmed becomes a more regular fixture in the men's national team setup. He does have a couple of caps, but I think the time is now for him. His stock is very, very high right now. Be really curious, obviously, to see if he is still playing with Vancouver for much longer anyway. And of course, he's got a lot of versatility that he can offer as well as a player, which when you get into those tournament settings is so crucial to have players who can fill multiple positions. And for a player who could come from the national team to MLS, reflecting, maybe a guy like.
If you didn't think about it,
I didn't think of anyone.
Honestly,
okay. Nobody really comes. Yeah, nobody comes to my mind offhand. At least like for players who are already here.
Okay.
Obviously, like Junior Hoylett, I think he wrapped up his stint with.
He He's with Vancouver now.
Yeah, with
He was
Vancouver. And I think he's unattached right now. So, I mean, certainly could see him sticking around or
Yeah.
maybe migrating closer to home. But he's kind of technically already in MLS, like where at least he was.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Go. Let's go with the second
Next question. From Amine, we have will Laurent Courtois keep Barthélemy Delacroix, Hervé Diaz, Hady Sabrango, or only Simon, Peiser, Luan, Bucci, and Pasquale? And what assistants could he bring with him, like Lazada brought Sebastian Setti?
Honestly, I would go. I think the only one that might not stay is Delacroix.
Mhm.
I think that usually when you play attractive soccer, you need to make sure that your fitness coach knows exactly what you want from your players. So unless he finds, that synergy with Delacroix, I think that that's the only one that would not be retained. The rest, Eddie Sabrango is going to stay. Like he's a legend of the club, and he's going to be here. And the other ones are going to be here. It's just so funny that he gave all the last names of the staff except for Luan that he named with his first. So that was funny too. So in my opinion, the fitness coach will be the only one that would be leaving. If someone is leaving, the rest will all stay.
Yeah.
In my
No, I agree with your reasoning. I think every coach kind of has their working synergy with their support staff, but also it is important, for a new coach entering an environment, I think, to surround himself with at least a few assistants who kind of know the club, know the culture, and those kind of important factors.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, there will probably be a little bit of a mix, for sure, but I struggle to imagine most of the names on Amin's list departing, aside from what you mentioned, and I think your reasoning was very sound.
Elias, anything to add, or do we go with the third one?
I agree with you, right? Especially with the amount of injuries they had, especially the amount of muscular injuries they had. I think that also has something to do with it. I think that, whether it's your preparation, whether it's your fitness, I don't know what was the cause of these injuries, but that many muscular injuries and non-contact injuries, you have to look at something. There's no reasonable, rational reason for that, other than something wrong in the infrastructure.
Perfect. Moving on.
Next question coming from Andy. Andy asks, do you guys think any of the players that either choose to not renew with us or didn't have their option activated, if someone like Courtois... Hold on. Okay, I
Come back.
Yeah. I figured it out. Yeah. So do you think that any of the players that either chose not to renew with us or didn't have their option activated, would have done so, I guess?
Yeah.
Or that would have happened if someone like Courtois would have been, if they knew someone like Courtois would be coach?
Or can they can change their mind and come back with CF Montreal? That's what I think what he means.
Obviously, if the player didn't get their option activated, that's kind of more the club's choice.
Yeah, but maybe Courtois is going to say,
I
would like this player to stay and to stick
that's
up.
true.
So, do you guys? I don't think.
I really don't think so, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
I think Sean Ray was really the only player released on performance, if you will.
No, Jean Elias also.
But he didn't even get the chance, right?
Yeah, but he got a chance with CPL, and they're not
performance with the club specifically.
Yeah,
but with
but they didn't like what he did in CPL. So
exactly, but just in terms of operating within the club, right?
Yeah.
If you look at James Patemis and ZBG, that there's other reasons why their options weren't picked up. So I think that in terms of Sean Ray, maybe because of the fact that Laurent Courtois' style or the Columbus Crew style would maybe be a bit more receptive to a 10. But I think ultimately, not much would have changed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Andy. We don't think anybody else is going to come back. But Pantemis is gone to Portland to get the number one job in front of Crepeau. So You never know.
Yeah, feel bad for that.
Oh my god, that guy has no luck.
Sorry, I had to say it.
He has no luck at all.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. But
Yeah.
in order to maybe switch a bit the question of Andy, I agree with Patrick. I would take Hoylett here.
Oh yeah.
I do agree.
Yeah. I think he could do a lot of good for the young players who we have in those attacking positions.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Go.
Okay, next we have Justin, who asks, for the people that paid season tickets just to secure a seat to watch Messi, what does the club have to do to entice them to not only show up to every game, but renew their seats for years to come? I think we talked about this.
We answered already, Justin. So
put on a show.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, put on a show, win against Messi. We talked about it. So if you have any more follow-up questions, please feel free to ask us.
Or if you have anything else that you think they should do as well.
Exactly.
Right on. Next up, we have Patrick, who asks, do you think that CF Montreal will finally start the preseason with a close to full roster? Every year it seems like a struggle to do that. Would help to get everyone up to speed at the same time, especially since we start 6 games on the road.
No, that's my answer. We will not have a full roster.
No.
Unfortunately.
And you know what? I think it'll be very close to complete, but I think
same. You know what? At the end of the day, we're missing 3-4 players.
Right. But I think it's 3-4 significant players, or not 3-4 significant players, but at least 1 or 2 significant players.
I agree. But still, you still have more than 80% of your roster that's there.
Yeah.
So,
So,
those 3-4 players will have to integrate the team. So if the team is already integrated within themselves, so I think it's gonna be simpler for the 3-4 players to come and integrate. So let's wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Next up, we have Tate, who asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the Tate? I'm going to insert a question here. Hypothetical hiring of Laurent Courtois.
Elias,
go ahead.
8.5. 8.5. I'll give it 8.5.
Yeah. I'll go. This is gonna be very uneven. I'll go 7.5.
What? Okay, guys, episode 161, the 7th of January, 2024, 8:30 p.m. Eve was optimistic.
Yeah. I know. It felt really weird. I'm gonna have to go I don't know, be pessimistic about something for a while after that. I'm just gonna have to go up to people and be like, no.
You know what? I'm gonna go a bit more pessimistic than you, Eve. I would say 6.57.
Okay.
What was his reason for all this?
The reason is I'm just afraid of his communication style. I watched the press conferences again, and I think I said it a bit.
Yeah.
A bit earlier. I think that's going to be very important. And I wonder, I'm not really sure how he's going to react when after 3-0 loss at home, in the press box. I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical about that, but still 6.57 is pretty good. I'm still positive. It's just that I'm not overhyped. I'm a bit wary, but on paper it seems like the perfect move.
Exactly.
Let's hope that he delivers, because we're so blinded in a certain way by what Wilfried Nancy did with us. You're being an assistant, coming to MLS as a head coach. Sorry, Chan is really making me laugh. We'll talk about what he said a bit later. So he came and he had an amazing second season. The first season was pretty good still, even if they didn't make the playoffs. But the second one was even better. And we tend to forget that, it's not everybody that has that perfect mix of everything like Wilfred Nancy, because he is a tremendous coach. So yeah, talking about Chan. So two things. First of all, he said, "Can't wait for AFCON and Asian Cup soon. Let's go Hong Kong. Sorry, let's go Lebanon." So that's one thing. Second thing, Rudy Garcia is a free agent. No, please, no, please, no, please, no. But you know what? I would love to go at a Rudy Garcia press conference to just laugh because it's very laughable. So for people that don't know Rudy Garcia, he was the last coach of Napoli, but also former coach of Lyon, of Lille, of Marseille, of Roma, and quite a few clubs. Le Mans, and could go on and on. So yeah, that's it. So this is for this. Do you have any more questions, or we're done?
Nope. That's it.
Love it, love it, love it. So thanks everyone for the questions. It's always really nice to have questions sent to us and for us to answer. I think it's always fun for us to answer your questions. So keep on sending them to us through Twitter. That's the only way to send us questions. If you want to send it to us in a different platform, no problem. Facebook me on Messenger. That's the only thing I can think of. Moving on, we do have a couple of games for you guys. I do have a couple of games for you. So let's start, first of all, with a quiz. So, guys, you guys know the drill already.
Yeah.
So it's going to be questions with multiple answers. The first question we'll start with Eve because we're gentlemen, and then the second one will be we'll start with Elias, and then the third one will be to Eve, and then the fourth one will be to Elias. We have 4 questions, but we have a tiebreaker at the end, so don't worry about that.
Right on.
Of course, we're discussing Laurent Courtois. So which one of these players haven't played a game with Laurent Courtois as a player? I have 6 names. I had a list of 25 names, but I reduced it to 6. So
6. Okay, God, that's a lot. Okay.
Michael Carrick.
Okay.
Safir Taider. Heath Pierce.
Okay.
Team Melia.
Okay.
Landon Donovan. And David Beckham.
With as in on the same team, right? Not on the same pitch?
No, on the same team. I didn't go check the pitch.
Okay.
Do you want me to repeat the names?
No. I'll say, did you have Tim Melia on that list?
Yes.
I will say Tim Melia.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a wild guess.
Elias.
So I know he played for Galaxy. So I'm assuming that was the during Beckham's time. Michael Carrick. Was that when he was at West Ham?
He's not going to tell you. You have to answer the question.
I know. I'm just thinking out loud here. Okay. I'm just gonna. I don't like this.
Did Tim Melia ever play for the Galaxy? I'm Googling it now. I've already answered.
No. Don't.
I just want to know if Tim Melia played for the Galaxy. Okay, fine. I'll look it up after.
I'm gonna go with I guess Tim Melia too. I guess I can't really.
Wrong. Tim Melia played as a third goalkeeper for Chivas USA, where Laurent Courtois was playing. He played with Michael Carrick at West Ham, Safir Taider at Grenoble, Heath Pierce as with Chivas, Landon Donovan with the Galaxy, and he never played with David Beckham because when he was with the Galaxy as a player, David Beckham went back to Paris Saint-Germain.
Milan.
Milan. Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, this was after he left permanently.
Yeah. He left with Paris Saint-Germain in 2013, the only season where he played as a player with the Galaxy. So that was for the first question, 0-0. Okay. Now, same kind of question, but a bit trickier, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Elias, you start first. Which actual coach he didn't play with when he was a player?
Oh god.
What's an actual coach?
Like a coach right
Like a
now.
current
Okay,
active.
okay.
Presently he's a coach, but he was a player. at
Okay,
the
I
same
understand.
time as
Sorry.
the same
Yeah.
team. Okay. So first of all, Walid Regragui, who's the national team coach of Morocco. Laurent Blanc, that's unemployed right now, but still a coach. Rigobert Song, that's the national team coach of Cameroon. Pablo Mastroeni, that's, I don't think he's still employed. Is he still with RSL? Whatever. He coached quite a few clubs here in the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
And Jermaine Defoe, that's right now an assistant coach at the Spurs, Tottenham Spurs. Assistant coach with the young teams like
I'm
U17,
just going through
U21.
Jermaine Defoe's career. I have no godly idea.
Do you want me to repeat the names?
No, that won't help.
Oh.
I'm just gonna say Laurent Blanc because I know you like Marseille, so I'm gonna say Laurent Blanc.
Yves.
I will say the manager of the Moroccan national team.
Walid Regragui.
Yes.
Walid Regragui, he played with 2 times.
Aha.
With
Okay.
2 different clubs.
You're not just
Alas.
wrong, you're ultra wrong.
You're ultra long.
Alas.
Wrong. And you're right, Elias. Laurent Blanc. He never
good job.
played with Laurent Blanc, so Laurent Blanc never played with any teams that.
Always bet on Marseille when
Laurent
Hady's doing the
Courtois.
quiz.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. Nah, that's. Whatever. Next one. Yves.
Okay.
In which of these countries he didn't play?
Okay.
The US, Spain, Portugal, or England?
I
Don't look
can
at
narrow it down,
Wikipedia or
certainly.
transfer market. You're not allowed to look anywhere.
No, my let's I can narrow it down well enough. I'll say Portugal.
Elias?
I was gonna say Portugal too, because I think he played in Spain.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
He didn't play in Portugal. He played in Spain with Levante.
Yeah.
He played in the US with Chivas and the Galaxy, and in England with West Ham United. Of course, I didn't put France because everybody knew.
That's obvious. Kind of.
So right now it's 2-1 for our dear friend Elias. Is he going to win
Dun, dun, dun.
tonight's quiz? Okay. As per transfer market, it's not my thing. And we'll start with you, Elias, right? Yeah, we'll start with you, Elias. How many goals has he scored professionally? The closest wins.
All right.
I can give you a hint if you want to. Do you want a hint?
No, I don't. No hint.
Okay.
No. I'm gonna go with 62.
Yves?
Okay, I'm gonna go lower. I know he had like a long playing career, but I'll say 41.
You're very close, Yves. 39
Ah.
goals only. 39 goals only, all competitions. He was playing as a left winger or a left midfielder because back then there was a 4-4-2 and he was playing on the left.
Yeah.
He didn't score a lot, but he was very technically gifted, by the way. So Yves wins, but it's not the exact score. So, Elias wins the quiz. As simple as that. So 2-1 and a half, let's say. 2-1 and a half for Yves. Good job, guys. I hope you guys liked the quiz.
That was good. That was a challenge.
I'm gonna ride this high until I lose the next quiz. So thank you.
Enjoy your glory while you have it.
Exactly.
Okay, so just to say, our friend Chan, he answered Beckham. He said Pablo Mascheroni, which was wrong. He said Portugal, he got it, and then he said 9 goals
Oh, so he
only.
tied with.
Fine.
Oh,
That's
good
so
lord.
mean.
Only 9 goals, man, Chan. No, are you crazy, man? So yeah, so
He could have been
that's
like a central defender or something. You know.
now. Next, we do have another game that's going to be
Okay.
a bit faster. And you know what? We have a theme for it. It's the
back.
comeback of choices.
I thought you didn't like. I thought you didn't like returns.
Huh?
I thought you didn't like returns.
Oh,
Oh, that's
sassy
mean.
Elias.
That's mean. That's mean. That's mean. Not these kinds of returns. So let's start with the first choice. I'll start with you, Elias, this time. First choice. Would you prefer signing a bunch of experienced, not old, but experienced players that you know from Europe and qualify for playoffs? Or would you prefer playing beautiful soccer with the academy kids with no playoffs? I know. I started with Elias because I know Eve's answer.
Are we playing beautiful soccer with the experienced players?
What?
Are we gonna play beautiful soccer with the experienced players?
Which one would you prefer? Like, which do you prefer
I
playing
know.
with experienced players?
I know, but if we play, okay, so we're playing ugly soccer, but making the playoffs.
Not ugly, but not especially attractive. Like we're just making the
No, then
playoffs.
I'll go beautiful soccer, but miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm Team Elias. If you're the other, you want playoffs, right?
I can like live without it for a time, but then I eventually get to the point where I do like get antsy for some success, or at least something like bearing a passing resemblance to success. So it kind of depends. Like when you ask me this question, I would say like it's like how thirsty am I for
right
playoffs?
now, we're the 7th of January, 2024,
Are we?
8:45.
Okay.
So, what is your
Honestly,
answer?
right now I'm feeling pretty chill. So I can live with youth as long as it's not disappointing forgetting where the net is.
As long as they miss the playoffs on decision day and not end up like Toronto last
Oh
year.
wow,
Like
okay, that's too many
Yeah, no,
ifs.
a wooden spoon is a firm no for me.
I said not making the playoffs. I didn't specify where. Okay, interesting. Your turn, Eve.
Okay.
You are Olivier Renard, and the Timbers reaches you out.
Okay.
They want to trade you
Mm-hmm.
Maxime Crépeau, that's a time player,
Mm-hmm.
for Victor Wanyama and Mason Toy. Would you accept?
No, I wouldn't. No, a TAM is a lot of money to spend on a goalkeeper for one. Number two, we would not hear the end of it because you hate returns on the podcast. Even though I know that probably doesn't factor into Elias's mind, into Olivier Renard's mind. Number three, I think Victor Wanyama does still have something to offer, especially with so many young players in the midfield. And okay, Chan has no mercy. When Chan says Wanyama and Toy are gone, no mercy. Okay. And Jonathan Siawa has made a very, very remarkable case to be the number one keeper. I think if Maxime Crépeau were to come back, he would obviously have like you can't just like bench an MLS Cup winning national team goalkeeper. So I think it would be an injustice to Jonathan Siawa's hard work from last year. And it would probably set him back a little bit developmentally. So there you go.
I'm looking at Elias and he's like scratching his head and he's like, what would I do? Because when you think about it, you're getting rid of Wanyama as a DP player,
Right.
knowing that you have so many midfielders right now. We talked about it
No,
a bit
I know.
earlier.
I can see like why you picked the players
Yeah,
that you picked.
and losing Mason Toy, who's like the the better salaries as a striker right now. You get rid of a lot of salary space, which is
Mhm.
really interesting, and two players for one, so you open one other spot in the roster too. And at the same time, you're getting the Canadian men's national team number one ish goalkeeper. So Elias,
I mean, it's very interesting, but ultimately, there's two moments where I think Jonathan Sirois cost Montreal a game. In a
yeah,
in a in a
Mhm.
cacophony of misery that was last season.
but how many
Two
did he
two
win? How
moments
many games did he win?
exactly. So I don't think Montreal's goaltending situation is precarious enough to justify bringing in Maxime Crépeau for the amount of money that he's on. And just at the same time, I would just be so funny to be the only team without a designated player. It would be so funny. But
So,
no, ultimately, I say no to this deal because of the fact that Jonathan Sirois has not given me any reason to consider it.
Okay, interesting. I agree with you. I wouldn't change. I wouldn't
Good
exchange.
question.
Yeah. Elias, your turn.
Okay.
You receive a bid for $1 million for Nathan Saliba from a European club with the 50% resale percentage fee. Right now, would you accept?
50.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Like, he's not going to be sold for 10 millions after. But
Even he sold for 5 million.
he's not going to be sold. Right now, today.
No,
Why?
no. I think that uh, his upside is much higher than 1 million. Not much higher. His upside is higher than 1 million.
Mhm.
And I think that in the meantime, while he gets there, he is going to give you a lot, at least one other very good year. We talked about this a lot, you and I, about Mathieu Chouanier, how eights in Europe, they are a dime a dozen, right? So unless you bring something else that's special, not many people are going to come knocking at the door for cross continents for an eight. So yeah, I say no.
Eve?
Yeah, honestly, I agree with Elias. I think Nathan Saliba, he has just started his kind of trajectory. And I think another season with Montreal will just increase his all of the qualities that you want in a player. You know, it's his decision making, his his composure, his just his general kind of awareness on the field. I think all of those things are going to, I think the stability of remaining here will do good for his career. And I think, you know, it would be a different number being proposed, a higher number being proposed if one was to wait until the end of next season. So I'm going to say wait.
I don't agree with you guys. I would sell him.
Yeah.
I would sell him because, as you said, Elias, it's hard to sell a number 8. So if you get interest, you get 1 million for him. That means that they see something in him. He's surely going to be sold for a bit more next time. So we'll have that 50% right after. And you have so many good midfielders right now. You have Rida Zuhir, you have Mathieu Chouanier, you have Piet, you have Wanyama. You have enough midfielders here. And knowing that Nathan Saliba wants to go to Europe at one point. So
Mhm.
I think you would be, fulfilling everybody wishes in a certain way. Yes, it's not very high. It's not a big amount, but still, I would still sell him. I think.
I think there's no one on the team that does what Samuel Piet does anywhere near the level of Natal Saleba.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then you have the fact that at his age he's already, far technically better than Samuel Piet was at that age.
Yeah.
I can't
Interesting.
justify
Interesting.
letting him go
I
for a
would
million.
sell. I would
Yep.
sell.
Okay.
Your turn. Last but not least, Eve. You're Gabriel Gervais,
Okay.
Ooh.
and
Putting on so many hats tonight.
you're approached by a European club to hire Olivier Renard and Vasily Kermanzidis
Mm-hmm.
as a duo for
Okay.
$1 million. You talk to them, and they're like, you know what? We're happy here, but we'll be very happy also to go. We like the challenge that's proposed to us.
Mm-hmm.
Would you accept?
I think that would hamstring the sporting side of the club so badly that would be almost suicidal from a sporting standpoint, because now you're kind of back to square one. So if they really said, like, we are enamored with this, like, this is what we want, like, we're going to be unhappy knowing that we missed this
No,
opportunity.
they didn't say that.
Exactly. If then of course, you don't keep somebody against their will, you let them go. But no, to lose both of those people at the same time would be, I think, I don't have a word for it. It would be very, 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 very difficult to fill both of those positions. And to kind of, I think as well, to fill them with people, who can locate, sign, and detect players aligning with the club's philosophy. So I'm going to go with a firm no.
Interesting. I agree with you, by the way. I think I agree with you. I think this question is more for the people that are shouting Renard out. Just to let them know that I think we're all aligned, right, Elias? I don't.
Yeah,
think
this was definitely the easiest of the four questions.
Exactly.
Not for $1 million.
Exactly. And we do have a small comments. Please increase the number of toilets in Stade Saputo if you are Gabriel Gervais. So, Eve, you have a request because you are Gabriel Gervais.
Oh boy.
So yeah. So these were the choices for today. I hope you guys liked it.
A level blast from the past.
Blast from the past, exactly. So it was fun. Moving on, last but not least, social media with my good friend Elias. So let's go with the segment.
All right.
Yes. All right. First one right away from BBN Soccer Podcast, translated from French. Would you allow in the CF Montreal supporter sections, two at each end of the field, would you allow Messi's jersey in there on May 11th? Now the poll is 65% against Messi jerseys, 34% in favor. What about you two? Are you guys in accordance with the poll?
I'm actually like surprised that 33% of people.
I was too.
So the question is, should CF Montreal forbid Messi jerseys? Like,
yeah, I'm assuming
in supporter sections.
The supporter sections can probably say nothing in our section. That's my guess.
Yeah, and I know several other clubs in MLS have done that last year. I know.
The only reason I'm asking you guys is because a third of the people answering voted.
A supporter section is for supporters of the local club.
Listen, in European clubs, you would get literally killed if you go with another jersey within a supporter section. So, thank God. Fortunately, it's not the same here in North America, but I think we should respect the supporters and by not wearing another team's jersey.
Yeah.
It's a sign of respect for the supporters of the local club. It's as simple as that. When I go, to a different soccer pitch, and I'm going there on an away game for CF Montreal, I do not wear the jersey of CF Montreal, even as an away supporter. This is not respectful. You're
Unless
going
you're in
to
the away
another.
section.
You
Unless
can
you're in
go
the
to
away
the
section.
away section.
Exactly.
The
Unless you're in the
designated
away
space.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm really curious what like the 1/3 of people who are
I'd
like
love to
where.
understand the reasoning.
Yeah, I'm really curious. But I think as well, just to mitigate any potential conflicts, I think it's also like you said, kind of Hady. Well, it's not necessarily as much of an issue. I think definitely just I yeah, I'm flummoxed honestly at kind of the answers.
Good word.
So I'm just
Okay.
yeah.
Moving on. Yes, we are
Moving
in.
on.
We
Second
are
one.
in agreement.
Second tweet.
Yeah. Second tweet. Oh my god.
Yes, this is from Emil once again. Who would have benefited from Mihailovic returning to Montreal more? Not him nor the club. So if you want to sell players, it's not for them to come back. This is in response to the news that Colorado Rapids are the front runners for bringing.
No, they signed him. It's official.
Yeah.
Is it confirmed? It is confirmed that
It is
Georgi
confirmed.
Mihailovic is coming back to MLS. What do you guys think about Georgi Mihailovic? Do you think that with someone who has coached under the philosophy of Wilfred Nancy, do you think that, you know, Georgi Mihailovic would do well here, or are you in agreement with Emil that let bygones be bygones and screw
We
yourself?
already know Hattie's answer.
I'm not gonna answer.
Okay.
You know my answer.
Even an MVP
I
frontrunner.
love Georgi Mihailovic. I love him. I love him to death. Like this guy was amazing. I just don't like comebacks. I don't like returns. It's as simple as that.
But like this isn't like bringing back
Nah,
someone who was a rotational player. This is an MVP caliber player.
nah. Thank you. No
Interesting.
returns.
Eve, are you in the same boat?
In this case, I don't think it would be beneficial to either the player or the club, like Emil said. I think the way that Montreal played during Georgi Mihailovic's time here was so well tailored for him, that allowed him to really be a standout and to break out and to make his move overseas. Unfortunately, that hasn't necessarily worked out as he would have hoped, I'm sure. Also, I don't think it's been officially announced yet that he signed. I think it is still front runner status, but I think he is. I think regardless, it's everything but the dotted line has been signed. That being said, we don't know exactly how Montreal is going to be playing this year under their new coach. So it could be that he would not shine as much in whatever system gets set up this year. So I'm not there's just no guarantee that it would be beneficial for anybody. Yeah. So no, I'm fine. I'm fine with moving on this one.
Next.
Right. Yes, this is from Socerdona. This is a graphic talking about Juventus having some work to do when it comes to their players signing new contracts. One of the people is Julia Grosso at 23 years old at $150,000 market value, 150,000 euros. Sorry, market value. Julia Grosso has been a revelation at Juve.
Yeah.
They just won Coppa Italia. She's doing great. Do you think that staying in Juve is what's best for her? Do you think that, would you like her to maybe try a challenge elsewhere, maybe at a club with a bit more European pedigree? What do you think about Julia Grosso's future at the club level?
I definitely think she still has higher levels to reach. I think she is going to be a very, very prominent player in Europe as she continues, on her career trajectory. So, that being said, I think I'm always a fan of like a little bit of continuity. So she's been now with Juve for 2 seasons, and she's obviously found plenty of success. I think she's won like 5 trophies so far with Juve, which is
just beat Ivania's Roma, by the way.
Yes, I know. Yep. Alas, but of course, very, very happy for her. So I think like right now she's 23 years old, so she still has a few years, I think, before she truly hits her prime. I think she's kind of just entering that. And I think where she's at now, they do have involvement in Champions League. Roma is actually very competitive in Serie A with Juventus as far as, at least the regular season. And obviously now they made it to the final as well. So it's not necessarily, I don't think it's like the most developed of the women's leagues in Europe. And that's probably the only thing that I would say is like it's still kind of a couple of teams at the top and then kind of just a bunch of fighting around at the bottom. But I think it's a good place for her to stay at least for one more year before perhaps looking on for something a little bit more ambitious.
Honestly, for her to move just to move would be wrong. We've seen so many players really go too fast to a WSL league, WSL team, and not getting minutes. I just don't want that for Julia Grosso. If she wants to move to a bigger club, she needs to make sure that she's going to have minutes and she's going to be playing regularly with that club. If not, I would stay put with the Juventus. Juventus is second in the league. They will qualify for Champions League. They will get results at one point. I'm pretty sure of that because it's a huge club. A huge club. So I would stick around unless I get a better club with a promise to play regularly, which I don't think will happen, unfortunately, because even with the national team, she's not a regular starter with the national team either. So if you're not sure of getting that number one, that regular starter position, stay put.
Yeah.
One team that I saw, which could be very interesting because their midfield does need work, is Manchester City. And they have a lot of attacking weapons. And I feel like someone like Julia Grosso, with her profile, would have her pick of the litter with regards to just finding balls in behind. But I do agree with you, Hady, that unless it is a guarantee of playing time and a guarantee of her standing within the club, I think that Juve has no reason to doubt Juve at the moment.
Interesting. Let's wait and see.
Indeed.
Next.
Alrighty.
Moving on. Yes, this is from Women's Transfer News. Jonathan Giraldez has announced his departure from Barcelona. This was, last week. His departure from Barcelona with his new destination to be the Washington Spirit of the NWSL. Apparently offering him 5 times greater than his current salary at Barcelona, which is insane. How important is it that one of the biggest managers of one of the top teams in Europe right now is coming stateside, coming to North America to apply his trade? And what do you think that means for other top coaches or top players that aren't North American to begin with, looking this way?
I think the NWSL had a reality check in the last couple of years, and now they're investing massively right now to bring back players, to bring back top-notch coaches and everything. And I think they saw the European leagues really gaining momentum and getting better and better, and then they saw themselves stalling in a certain way. So right now, I think they did everything. They're doing everything in their power to regain the trust of the players and regain that high caliber play. And they're investing in it. We saw the Spirit, but also all the new clubs that came with Angel City that has a lot of capital and so on and so on. So I think the NWSL is really trying, to higher their standards in a certain way. And I think that's a great thing to do. To go and poach the coach of Barcelona.
Wild.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent statement of ambition for sure. And like you said, Hady, the NWSL has really gone through, not only have European teams caught up in development, but also I think just a lot of the way that the NWSL was operating, they came under a really, really, really harsh spotlight in the last few years. And so it's almost like a renaissance. I like to hope anyway, for the league. I think it's beyond exciting to have ostensibly one of the best coaches available in the world coming to play, in the American League. And hopefully that's part of the kind of NWSL rebirth. And we see more teams stepping up to the plate and making, such a strong statement of intent.
Yes, this is again once a reminder that the longer Canada and Canada Soccer waits to put their full weight behind a women's league, the further behind they fall. But that's a story for another time.
It's a whole episode in and of itself.
Next tweet.
Next tweet.
This is from Kamal Miller, one of the best days of my life. Here's to forever. This is, on behalf of the Balls Round and everyone in Montreal who does love Kamal Miller. Congratulations to him and his fiancée, Sheridan. Wish you all the best in Portland. And congratulations again, because they look very cute together.
That is cute.
Yeah, congrats, Kamal. He did come on the pod here for an interview for those that missed it. So yeah, amazing guy, very good player too. So good luck. Marriage is tough, I can tell you that. But
also something that went under the radar that happened right before Christmas was Mathieu Choignard got engaged.
Yeah.
Really?
Mathieu Choignard got
nice.
engaged. I saw it on Instagram. So again, didn't really see it on Twitter, so it didn't make it into social media. But Mathieu Choignard, if it finds its way to you, congratulations as well. The wedding on Kamal, that'd be fun.
Congrats, Mathieu. So that's very good news, guys, and I think that will wrap up our episode 161 of The Ball is Round. Guys, thanks a lot for being so you were a lot today watching us, so thank you very much for tuning in. Of course, always remember this content is always going to be free. If you want to just help us grow the product, please go on our Patreon page, become Patreons, and of course, we'll invest that money to grow the podcast. It's as simple as that. And that's it for tonight. See you next week for the next episode, 162 of The Ball is Round.